think she does. She wears a beret on one side, but she's eating. May we?
Good morning, everyone. Please remain standing while Associate Dean of Students Tammy Futrell delivers the invocation.
Please bow your heads. Creator, Sustainer, and Sovereign One, we are grateful to you for the blessing of this day. We thank you for the friendships, accomplishments, and yes, even the tests and trials that you have brought us through that have led us to this moment. We recognize that all we have and all that we are would be impossible without you. We ask that you bless each student and each family represented here today. As they move beyond the halls of our institution, we ask that you guide them, protect them, and grant them wisdom. Lead them to do work that flows out of their passion and from their hearts, and that will enrich our communities and our world. This we humbly ask of you. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Dean Futrell. Honored graduates of the class of 2013, parents, family members and friends, members of the Washington and Lee University Board of Trustees, and members of the faculty and staff, welcome to Washington and Lee's Outdoor 2013 Commencement. Now, our commencement ceremony at Washington and Lee is different from other places. We see it as a time for celebration and reflection, and not as our last shot to teach you life's lessons and suddenly spring upon you the surprising revelation that the world is a treacherous place and now you must go forth and cope. Geopolitical strife, poverty, injustice, global climate change, human rights, and yes, the IRS, all await you in just a couple of hours. Those are actually important messages. It's not that we think they're unimportant, but we think you know that already. If we've not gotten through to you these last 4 years, it's way too late now. So let's enjoy the day and celebrate your accomplishments and the incredible potential you carry with you in the years ahead. Our commencement is neither a beginning nor an end. It is simply one day we allow ourselves the luxury to stop and pause and understand the longer journey. As Washington and Lee graduates, you are now part of a long and storied tradition, one that spans 3 centuries. And on this day of all days, we should consider for a moment the timelessness of this institution. A few years ago, a man named Philippe Lebreau, a famous French journalist, wrote a novel, The Foreign Student. It was a fictionalized version of his experience here at Washington and Lee University as an exchange student in the year 1958. That was surely a different time, and this was a different place in many ways. But one poetic passage has always remained with me, and as we begin our ceremony this morning, knowing that we will spend most of our time looking ahead, step back with me and listen to how he captures this place you will soon call alma mater. His memories, he wrote, they come back to haunt me like a piece of music that enfolds me, catapulting me back in time to where the present slips away and memory calls the tune. Whiffs of green lawns, the bubbles of Pabst Blue Ribbon beer over the metallic taste of the chilled cans, the scent of bay rum on the boys sprinkled on themselves on Saturday night when an entire male community primped and powdered for the great stampede to any girls' school within a 60-mile radius. Like an overdose streaming into my body, the memories come. The trombones in Stan Kenton's band during the big spring concerts, with all the young people sitting on the lawn. The red mud on the long cement footbridge that crossed a straggling train track and linked the football field to the gym. Comings and goings under the colonnade on a sparkling fall morning with the sun sliding across the grass from behind Lee Chapel. I hear the silence of the campus during classes when, through open windows, a tardy student's anxious steps echoed on the flagstones as he ran. I want you to enjoy these last few moments as a student. And although, of course, I want you to pay very close attention to every word that is uttered from this podium, you should allow yourselves a few moments to let your minds wander to some of your student days, days you will never forget. Just a brief word to the parents. Just a year ago, at another college far, far from here, I sat where you are sitting today, trying desperately to listen to that college president as he made his way through the commencement ceremony. But it was impossible as Kim and I, ourselves parents of a graduate, surrendered to memories of the kindergarten drop-off, the first report card, the 6th grade recital, the 8th grade moving up ceremony, the first and last high school lacrosse game, the first girlfriend who wasn't the last, the broken bones, freshman orientation, the internship, the friends my sons made, the achievements and the setbacks, all went by in a blur. For us as parents, this is our milestone too. 4 years ago, when I welcomed you to the Washington and Lee community, I boldly predicted the 4 years would go by quickly, that there would be a few bumps along the way, and that no matter how mature and smart your sons and daughters appeared to be at the time, they would amaze you at the time of graduation. You were proud then, but also a little anxious as well. You are even prouder today, but in truth, still a little anxious. Anxiety is what parents do best. But on this special day in the lives of your families, on this day of all days, sincere and genuine pride transcends all other emotions. And I thank you once again for entrusting us with the most cherished parts of your lives. It is now time to point out a few special recognitions. All the members of the faculty and staff contribute significantly to the education of our students, but it is customary at this time to single out for special thanks the faculty and staff who will retire at the end of this academic year. Each has served the university and all of our students with distinction. I will ask each retiree to rise when I call his or her name, position, and the number of years of service devoted to Washington and Lee, and then to remain standing. Please hold your applause until all the names have been announced, and I'll call them in alphabetical order. Bruce Bowler, 10 years, visiting professor of physics. Linda Davis, 14 years, administrative assistant for physics and engineering. Bob DeMaria, 36 years, professor of journalism and mass communications. Joan Casper, 17 years, administrative assistant, law school library. Bill Mack, 41 years, facilities management. Holt Merchant, 43 years. He's the Martin and Brookstein Professor of History. Mike Pleva, 44 years, the Robert Lee Telford Professor of Chemistry. Nellie Rice, 53 years, Executive Assistant, Student Affairs. Vaughn Stanley, 19 years, Special Collections Librarian. Jane Stokes, 16 years, Business Office. Mike Young, 22 years, Director of Public Safety. Please congratulate and thank all of these individuals. Next to your families, those of you graduating today probably owe your education to the faculty and staff more than to any other single group. Members of the faculty and staff have guided you, gently admonished you, supported you, and sometimes been absolutely shocked at what you have achieved. Would the faculty and staff please stand? And lest we forget, a very special thanks as well to the facilities management crew, on call all of yesterday and on call very early this morning in case we had to change venues, or if we didn't, to dry the chairs off that you're now sitting in. But the incredible setup they provide today is the last and maybe the most meaningful thing that they have provided to you over your 4 years. So my thanks to them as well. And I now call your attention to the printed program. You will find recorded there a list of students who have won special honors and awards. I commend to you a careful reading of this part of the program. While all the students today who are graduating have received the most important recognition, a degree, we customarily recognize 2 special awards at graduation. First, we recognize the recipients of the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Medallion. Each year, the faculty selects 2 members of the class. The award recognizes those who excel in high ideals of living, in spiritual qualities, and in generous and disinterested service to others. This year, the faculty voted these awards to Kendra Barnes and Wade Marsh. Kendra, would you please stand for a minute? Kendra hails from Omaha, Nebraska. She will graduate today with majors in English and Spanish. She is the recipient of a Fulbright English Teaching Assistant Fellowship in Panama next year. She has been a member of ODK, a peer counselor, and helped organize a collection drive for Project Horizon and WNEL's first United Nations Children's Day celebration. She was co-general chair of the Neighbors Service League, a member of the Student Association for International Learning, a member of the Chamber Singers. She has served as a literacy tutor at Waddell Elementary School and as an intern for the Immigration and Refugee Services of the Lutheran Family Services. And finally, she reserved time to host her own radio program, the Flamenco Hour. Congratulations, Kendra. And Wade, would you please stand? Wade is a native of Milford, Delaware. He will graduate today with a major in politics and a second major in religion with honors. He has been inducted into Pi Sigma Alpha, the Political Science Honor Society, served as president of Phi Eta Sigma. He is the outgoing student president of ODK and a member of Phi Beta Kappa. He is an All-American swimmer and captain of the team, a member of the track and field team, and a member of Phi Psi fraternity. In the fall, Wade will attend Duke Divinity School, where he will pursue a Master of Divinity degree, after which he will seek admission to doctoral programs in biblical studies and early Christianity, with plans, yes, to become a college professor. Congratulations, Wade. And next, we recognize the senior who has achieved the highest academic standing and is designated by the faculty as class valedictorian. Maggie Lynn Holland, would you stand? Maggie is a biology major and a Johnson Scholar, completed her college career with a 3.989 grade point average. In 2011, Maggie was the Phi Beta Kappa J. Brown Gehring Sophomore Award recipient and was an inductee into Phi Beta Kappa her junior year. During her time at WNEL, she has volunteered at the Rockbridge Area Health Center and has been an active member of the Lexington Presbyterian Church. She's from Florida and will enter Duke University's physical therapy program this fall. Maggie, congratulations. At this point in the graduation exercises, Washington Lee's tradition privileges us with the opportunity to hear from the president of the student body. Steele Burrow is a politics major from Dallas, Texas, serving in his 3rd year on the executive committee. He is a Luce Scholar finalist, an honor roll and Dean's List student, a publicly recognized freelance photographer, and he distinguished himself and Washington and Lee earlier this year by having a letter to the editor on WNEL's honor system published in the New York Times. In January, Steele will move to New York City to join the financial services and consulting firm Alpha Sites. Prior to that, he will teach English for a couple of months in Vietnam and travel. In his capacity as student body president, I worked closely with Steele this year and came to admire his judgment, his focus, and his own incredible sense of honor. He has been a great student leader. Steele, we look forward to your comments.
Thank you very much, President Ruscio. It's a privilege to speak today at graduation, and to have the opportunity to do so because, as President Ruscio said, our school has a unique tradition that the president of the student body shares the sentiments and memories of his graduating class with everyone else on this final day. It really is an honor, and I'm deeply grateful. In a commencement address given at Tulane back in 2006, Bill Clinton said something to the effect that a good graduation and commencement speech says something timely and timeless, but that it takes no time at all. I do promise to be brief. Senior year here at Washington and Lee spurs reflection. The nearing end makes us consider the value of our 4 undergraduate years, the relationships we've made, the lessons we've learned, and the merits of our own college education. College is supposed to change us, and it has. But each school has its own unique effect. Some place emphasis on academics or career possibilities. Others focus on Division I sports and college rivalries. Here, though, at Washington and Lee, we have no singular goal quite like those. Our school affords us equal amount academic rigor and human connection. We focus on the complete individual, the characters, the intellects, the personalities that enter the world beyond these white columns. And we see ourselves in relation to wholes. Today, in just a few hours, we join the growing family of Washington and Lee graduates and alumni. Tomorrow, we enter society and the rest of the world. It can be easy to be caught up in accomplishment, but we should not ignore the significant feats of our class either. In our graduating class, we have 6 Fulbrights and 16 Teach for America fellowships. Other members of our class plan to study law at Columbia, Georgetown, UNC, and Yale, to name just a few. Others still will study medicine and health-related fields at Duke, Emory, Columbia, and Brown. Several are pursuing Duke Divinity School and Venture for America. Others researching for MIT and the Federal Reserve, writing fiction in Ireland, working in the music industry of Nashville, serving the homeless in D.C., and studying the speciation of the black-tailed godwit bird in Iceland. Another may even enter the MLB draft. Who knows? He could return in a few years to finance a new gym. Together as a class, we forged bonds that served as the foundation of our experience here. They formed as we trekked through the Blue Ridge, explored the falls at Goshen, studied together for finals, or just enjoyed long midnight sprints down the colonnade. We share these memories because of the way those relationships were formed, in a context of trust. But just as today praises our accomplishments of these past 4 years and the near opportunities they afford, we must consider what to include in our lives' still unwritten chapters. Celebrations defined much of our pre-college time. We were all recognized for holding places on sports teams and for excelling as high school newspaper editors and ace students. Back in 4th grade, my elementary school baseball team had one of those pizza and awards dinners much like any other. Medals were given out for the best pitcher, the best hitter, the most reliable shortstop, and the most versatile player. After all the awards for athleticism were passed out, about 4 of us, myself included, remained empty-handed. Our coach told us that for those few players left, he had a special award. He handed out medals that read "Most Enthusiastic Player" to each one of us, and they were just as shiny as those that the athletic kids received. I didn't even know what enthusiastic meant at the time, but my mom assured me that it was good. All of us have memories like this before W&L. Times in elementary, middle, or high school when we got a pat on the back, even if we weren't quite sure what it was for. In our generation, everyone gets a medal. Yet, while we were raised on praise, we step away from the colonnade at a time of continued uncertainty. We enter professional careers in the waning shadow of a major economic crisis. We face record-high national debt, and we find many traditional American goals to be increasingly elusive. Just last year, for example, the average college senior in the U.S. graduated with over $27,000 in unpaid loans. As we see debt grow, we see trust throughout our society decline. Confidence in our government is at a record low. We can't see professional athletes without questioning the legitimacy of their skills, whether they stem from genuine talent or some pharmaceutical creation. Often, we can't even watch TV news without wondering how much the talking heads actually know. One study even said that pundits' success in predicting elections would actually increase if they just randomly guessed. So what can we really trust, and who? The best response to the sense of mistrust and skepticism is the sort of community we foster here at Washington and Lee, one that cultivates honor, integrity, and trust. We commit ourselves to a higher standard, and in turn, we receive higher benefits. Trust itself is a sort of freedom. You don't have to look over your shoulder to check your neighbor's honesty, and you're free from the restraints of skepticism and fear. Yet that freedom is delicate. Here in our past 4 years, two main principles animate the W&L experience: energy and honor. What do I mean by energy? It's the passion and enthusiasm that we, as W&L students, bring to our lives. The privileges we enjoyed here inject a distinct sense of optimism and passion into our goals. We want future W&L students to have the possibilities we encountered over these past 4 years. And we want the same for our families, friends, and our society at large. The other principle, of course, is honor, which we see as the defining trait of a Washington and Lee graduate. It's the same value that made a judge once create a special rule for W&L alumni who wanted to borrow from his extensive library. The judge was respected for his book collection, and he loaned volumes to any visitor who stopped by and simply wrote down his name and the title borrowed in the judge's record book. But for W&L alumni, he asked no such thing. He simply accepted their own word as truth. They were free to borrow from him as they wished, for he knew that they could be trusted to return the books when done. He understood that for Washington and Lee alums, honesty was timeless. It was found not simply in lofty speech or ideals, but in the simple decency of everyday life. That same expectation that the judge had will apply to us when we officially lose our titles today as students. Perhaps this sounds too ideal, too contrived. Is honor really our first inclination? Maybe not. It probably would not be a virtue if it were quite that easy. Honor demands courage, not comfort, and it presupposes risk. It takes a distinct kind of character to approach life with the conviction that integrity overrules ease. Remember when we were first introduced to honor at Washington and Lee, right here in Lee Chapel? We sat beneath the portraits of George Washington and Robert E. Lee, and were told that the honor system here at W&L offered us unparalleled freedom. We'd be able to take our exams whenever and wherever we pleased, and we'd be taken at our word by all of our professors and peers. Regardless of where we were within the W&L community, we would be held and expected to be each other's keepers. That same idea still applies to us as soon-to-be graduates. We also saw that sense of honor in the Commons just a few short months ago, when a student left out unattended boxes of candy and a paper cup. Anyone was allowed to take candy from the table. There was no one guarding it or actively selling it, and all the student asked was that those who took candy simply leave $1. It was a personal activity for a student who wanted to engage the personal character of her peers. When the candy was all gone, the young woman took home the cash and counted her results. She found that she was not just reimbursed, she'd actually made a decent profit. Imagine how liberating it would be to have similar freedom and faith on any campus or in any city. Just as Professor Beckley did yesterday, President Ruscio spoke to us freshman year about the value of service and humility. Paraphrasing the Bible, he told us that as graduates of this university, we are the ones responsible for our lives that follow. There are expectations not just of performance, but of service too. The Gospel of Luke reads, "Everyone to whom much was given, of him much will be required. And from him to whom they entrusted much, they will demand the more." We've done great things as a class thus far, but our greatest accomplishments still lie ahead. That persistent childhood praise must be seen merely as a low benchmark that we will hopefully soon pass or already have done so. Once we enter the competitive world of adult life, not everyone will win a medal and not everyone will win. But with our Washington and Lee degree, we have the skills to do so and to do so honorably, as well as to help others do the same. A decade or three from today, what will we want said of us, the graduating Washington and Lee class of 2013? Will we still make a deliberate effort, as we did during our 4 years here, to incorporate the strength of character into our lives? And will we contribute at least part of that energy to helping others? Jobs will change, residences will move, but at a certain point, we have to look back and think about who we are and what we value. That is what these past 4 years have been about. Exploring our unique intellects and passions and talents, and understanding how to see all those in the context of values greater than any single one of us. As bittersweet as graduation and today and the end of our time as students here may be, we can leave today knowing that we begin the rest of our lives with a unique and valuable gift. Not just a Washington and Lee degree, but a Washington and Lee experience. I hope that when we all return for our reunions years from now, we can share drinks together and honestly say that ours have been lives well lived. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steele, for those very, very thoughtful words, and also for your service these last 4 years to Washington and Lee, and for that yet still to come. We appreciate it very much. And now for the commencement speaker. One of the many traditions at Washington and Lee is that the president gives the commencement address. That started decades ago when a commencement speaker brought in from the outside a learned and scholarly, but also very elderly man, came to the podium with a stack of index cards on a hot summer day and proceeded to read them through not once, not twice, but 3 times. That was when the trustees, in their wisdom, decided to take a different route, and one that, while not necessarily promising better speeches, would at least ensure shorter and less expensive ones, since no honorarium is involved. But occasionally, even presidents choose to defy tradition by asking a trusted colleague to accept that assignment. And this is one of those times. Bob Strong is the William Lyon Wilson Professor of Politics who has served as interim provost these last 2 years. Few people know what a provost does. Dave Barry, the humorist, once offered financial advice to taxpayers. If you want to avoid an audit, list your occupation as provost. Since no one, including the IRS, knows what a provost is, you can list almost anything as a business deduction. But I do know what Bob does and what he has done. Within a very distinguished faculty, he is among the most distinguished. A gifted scholar who has written on a range of topics, including well-received books on the presidency, foreign policy generally, and Jimmy Carter's and George Bush's foreign policies in particular. A gifted teacher who is among the most respected on this campus for his courses on national security and terrorism and many other subjects. A gifted administrator, an individual whose uncommon judgment, fairness, and integrity, while well known to me before we worked together so closely in Washington Hall, is especially well known to me now. He is that rare individual who seems to be able to do it all: teach, write, and administer the university in his spare time, and to do it all in ways that call to mind the phrase consummate professional. Bob, we look forward to your remarks.
Today, the members of the class of 2013 pass a milestone in their lives and in the lives of the families and friends gathered on this occasion. All of us measure our lives by reference to points of passage: a birth, a move, a new school, a graduation, a romance, a wedding, a job, a promotion, an illness, a passing, another birth. Milestones matter. We mark them on our calendars. We celebrate their anniversaries. And for many of them, we have rituals and ceremonies accompanied by peculiar forms of dress. And we have words, usually too many words, nearly always predictable ones. My words this morning are of the conventional variety, but they are relatively few in number. For the next couple of moments, I invite the class of 2013 to join me in some reflections on their recent experiences. You have spent the last 4 years on a ridge between two mountain ranges in buildings old and new that bear the names of those who gave service, support, and supervision to this institution. Today, you are sitting on the lawn, somewhat wet lawn, of a majestic campus with beauty bestowed by the blessings of nature, the skill of builders, and the generosity of benefactors. That beauty is evident to everyone who passes, but you are not passers-by. Your appreciation of this place runs deeper. For you, the campus is inseparable from the people you met and lived with and worked with for these 4 years. People and place are interwoven in a tapestry of memories that enhance your response to both. And people matter more than place. This morning, you are close to your college friends, all the more so if you had the foresight to make your friendships in alphabetical order. Off to the side is the faculty, friends of a different and special kind. Washington and Lee has assembled an extraordinary group of teachers and scholars. They are the heart and soul of the university, and it has been your privilege and mine to work with them in these last few years. There are, of course, other people in the audience today you will remember. The security officer who gave you a second chance, or maybe a third. The assistant coach who listened on the day you really needed someone to talk to. The IT tech who miraculously resurrected your dead hard drive. The cafe server who gave a cheerful greeting that somehow helped on the last day of exam week. All around you are the people and places that mattered in your college career. But there is something else I want you to savor. Think briefly about the ideas you encountered at Washington and Lee. Think about honor, a topic Steele has just spoken about with passion and eloquence. You were introduced to the honor system, as he reminded us, one night during orientation in the chapel behind me. EC officers told you that at this place, you could be kicked out of school for doing things that may have been commonplace in your earlier education. At many American high schools today, lying is another word for what happens when teenagers speak to adults. Cheating is excused for stressed-out students managing busy lives. And stealing, at least the stealing of ideas, is why God and Al Gore invented the internet. If you came from such a high school, you probably felt fear when you attended that orientation meeting in Lee Chapel, but the fear was short-lived. Academic integrity quickly became a habit and then an essential value you passed along to others. Students at Washington and Lee, generation after generation, create a campus where honesty is routinely practiced, frequently discussed and debated, and deeply embedded in shared experience. Of course, our commitment to honesty requires us to acknowledge that we are not perfect, far from it. Tragic transgressions of honor and decency occur among us, and we have much to do on this campus to eliminate episodes of discrimination, disrespect, sexual violence, and incidents of irresponsible consumption of alcohol. Your class, much more than others, displayed leadership on these issues. This year, your elected judicial bodies made difficult decisions aimed at upholding high standards in every aspect of student life. One final reflection. Take a moment to remember some of the other important ideas you encountered at Washington and Lee, not the ones you share with your classmates, but the ones unique to you. I don't know what those ideas are, but you do. In these 4 years, there were for each of you important moments in a book or article you read, a play you saw, a speaker you heard, a discovery you made, a trip you took, or community organization you served. Most of you can recall at least one exhilarating classroom discussion that spilled over into a hallway, a dormitory, or a dining facility, or maybe an office hour conversation. Almost all of you, at some point, had a crucial encounter in a classroom or outside with an idea or an insight that became a pivot point for what you think, what you feel, what you plan to do next. Along with the people and the place, remember those ideas. You have acquired a liberal education at Washington and Lee. That is a rare commodity. Its cost is high, its value hard to measure, and its perpetuation is under assault in many forums in our society today. Critics of higher education want us to spend less money and at the same time do a better job of making you into productive workers, conscientious citizens, and ever more efficient consumers of electronic information. But a liberal education is not training that prepares you for a specific workplace. It is not catechism dictated by authority and learned by rote. It is not the accumulation of information delivered in lectures, laboratories, libraries, or online lessons. It's not something you could easily acquire on your own in front of a computer or outside of a complicated community like this one. It takes a village, it takes a college. It takes spending time in the company of others committed to the serious and systematic explanation and exploration of ideas. At its best, a liberal education is cultivated curiosity, tolerance for alternative points of view, humility in response to deeply challenging questions, ingenuity, making connections across disparate disciplines, and independence of thought, anchored in an acquaintance with the enduring mysteries of the human condition. Albert Einstein once observed that there's no need to go to college to learn facts. You can learn them from books. The value of an education in a liberal arts college, he said, is not the learning of many facts, but the training of the mind to think something that cannot be learned from textbooks. As you leave Lexington, take to heart Einstein's expectation. Think boldly, think creatively, think for yourself, and think beyond what you have learned at Washington and Lee. Along with the people and the place, cherish the ideas you encountered in the last 4 years. Cherish the ideals of a liberal education. And in the years ahead, help us to keep those ideas and those ideals alive for future generations of Washington and Lee students. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for those thoughts, and we wish you the very, very best for the coming year when you will take a Fulbright Fellowship in Ireland, and we look forward to your return to the faculty in the fall of 2014. Meantime, as they say over in that Emerald Isle, may the road rise to meet you, and may the wind be ever at your back. You have the gratitude of the entire university for your service, and my deepest personal gratitude for the many, many ways you have helped me during your time down the hall. Thank you, Bob. We come now to the point in the program when we customarily recognize outstanding individuals whose lives we hold up to you as example of how you should live yours, whose records of achievement and personal character exemplify this institution's highest ideals. Today we will bestow one honorary doctorate. Will the University Registrar please escort the Honorable Pamela J. White to the front of the podium. And I now once again recognize Provost Robert Strong, who will read the honorary degree citation.
Pamela J. White, judge, attorney, civic and professional leader, lifelong supporter of higher education, we welcome your return to one of your alma maters named for a member of the Washington family. Of course, all of your alma maters are so named. You graduated with distinction from Mary Washington College and subsequently attended the School of Law at Washington and Lee. Here you served as editor of the Law News and as a member of the Law Review. For 30 years, you practiced law in Baltimore, handling countless cases that dealt with the employment controversies that arise in a complex economy. You worked on instances of discrimination, harassment, benefit disputes, wrongful discharges, and equal pay violations. A talented and tenacious advocate, you became the first woman to be named a partner of Ober, Kaler, Grimes, and Shriver. Beyond your clients and your firm, you served your profession in many capacities, including as president of the Maryland State Bar Association and as president of the Women's Bar Association. A longtime supporter of legal services for the poor, you won acclaim for your own pro bono work and served the Maryland Legal Services Corporation. You worked with the Judicial Campaign Conduct Committee, the Equal Justice Council, the Maryland Committee on Public Awareness, and the Governor's Drug-Free Workplace Initiative. You were a celebrated softball player in the Lawyers League. And you currently serve as an elder in the First and Franklin Presbyterian Church. In 2006 and 2007, you were named one of the best attorneys in America. In 2007, you were named a Maryland Super Lawyer, an honor that involves recognition of extraordinary professional powers and the ability to leap tall courthouses in a single bound. In that same year, you were appointed to serve on the Circuit Court of Maryland for Baltimore City. For the universities that educated you and launched your career, you have been a tireless alumna and a dedicated leader. Today, you serve as rector of the Board of Visitors for the University of Mary Washington, the highest position in the highest governing body of that institution. For Washington and Lee, you have been a member and president of our Law Council and a member of the Shepherd Alumni Advisory Committee. And from 1995 through 2004, you were the first W&L alumna to serve on the Board of Trustees. In all of these capacities, you've been an advocate for access, diversity, integrity, and quality in higher education. By your own example, you have shown how a lifelong commitment to learning can foster professional success and civic responsibility. Pamela J. White, judge and jurist, servant to educational institutions, Baltimore civic leader, rabid Orioles fan, devoted graduate of Mary Washington College and the School of Law at Washington and Lee University, mentor to many, model to all. It is our honor to bestow on you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
Well, I think they went ahead without me, but by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws of Washington and Lee University, honoris causa. Now you're official. Well, now to the main event. I now recognize Robert D. Strawn, Associate Dean of the Williams School of Commerce, Economics, and Politics. He will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science with special attainments in Commerce.
Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Commerce please rise? President Ruscio, I have the honor to present for the Bachelor of Science with special attainments in Commerce 108 candidates. They have been examined by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees. I ask you by your official act to confer upon them this degree.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Washington and Lee University and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science with special attainments in Commerce of Washington and Lee University. Congratulations, and please come forward to receive your diplomas.
Sohil Agarwal. Rachel Edith Aiken. Logan Keller Allen. Juhi B. Amin. Burke Allen Anderson. Ashley Elizabeth Astolfi. Jeffrey Michael Beamer. Elizabeth Ann Bean. Joshua Harris Benjamin. George Clymer Brooke IV. Quentin Maxwell Jacob Brooks. Cooper Fitzhugh Lee Brown. Ramona Colony Carton. Elijah Earl Chester. Dylan Shao Hung Chu. Amy Elizabeth Clayton. Andrew Robert Clifford, magna cum laude. Stephen Scott Collio. Clay Penton Cook. Michelle Amanda Coriel, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Helen Grace Crenshaw, cum laude. Elizabeth Lindsay Crittenden. Daniel Michael Dent. Scott John Diamond. Michael B. Drago. Jessica Michelle Duffy. Colin Mann Elliott. John Douglas I. Christine Fan Fung. John Brandon Blair Fowler. Kaylin Sutton Fraley. Kendall Baker Fritchie. Andrew William Fusselbaugh. Matthew Robert Gata. Mary Elizabeth Galbraith. William Alexander Garrett IV. Miguel Antonio Garza. Allison Moore Giblin. Samuel Perry Given III. James Patrick Grasso. Laura Molly Gronauer. Amanda Marie Growalski, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Jonathan Frederick Hale, cum laude. Jennifer Hunter Hall. Alexandra Harrington Hamill. Hans Xavier Robert Harris. Luke Jackson Lauderdale Heinsohn. Cameron Gerard Hill. Orrin Henry Ingram III. Michael Durrell Jensen. Clark Elliott Jernigan, cum laude. Kaina Yolaine Jobert. Christopher Brian Closter. Robert Drinkard Naus, in absentia. Joseph John LaSala, Phi Beta Kappa, cum laude. Philip Augustus Lisevich. John Page Luster. Taylor Scott McGrath. Nuzla Merve Momatoglu, cum laude. Claire Meriwether Mahoney. Megan Emily Marks. Amy Rebecca Marquit. Andrew Channing Martin, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Brian McKinstry Means. Liana Catherine Murphy. Brett Lewis Murray, cum laude. Lawson Wood Neal, cum laude. Hong Zhao Wen, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Sean Michael Patwell. Stephen Leo Peck. Jacob Emmons Pelton. Brendan Michael Peters, cum laude. Allison Emily Plump, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Douglas Poach, Jr., cum laude. Catherine Mary Price, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Natalie Corbin Quinn. Bastian Wolfgang Richter. Courtney McNeil Reidenhauer, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Delaney Oliver Rolfe, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Marion Carter Roundtree. William Joseph Sally II. Joseph Robert Scalzo. Caroline Meriwether Schmidt. Philman Mack Sexton IV. Ian Perry Shaw. Emily Shu, cum laude. Laura Kane Simmons. William Connor Smithson. Thomas Gentry Spears. John Etienne Saleh. Connor Joseph Starr. Michael James Stefanelli. Charles Stephen Stites, Jr. Alexander Moore Saint Laurent. Aaron Margaret Sullivan. John Gary Switala. Daniel Elliott Yuji Tom. Beryl Tron, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Carter Harrison Tucker, Jr. Michael Thomas Twining. Stephen Shaw Twining, cum laude. Emma Kate Von Mar, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Alex Haruaki Wachi, cum laude, in absentia. Hayden Patrick White, in absentia. James A. Williams. David James Wilson. Elliot Wakefield Whistler, Jr. James Bixby Wool. Ray Bailey Yee.
Congratulations, and please be seated. I now recognize Larry Peppers, Dean of the Williams School, who will present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
Will the candidates from the Williams School of Commerce, Economics, and Politics for the Bachelor of Arts degrees please rise? President Ruscio, I have the honor to present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts 69 candidates. They've been examined by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees. I ask you by your official act to confer upon them this degree.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Washington and Lee University, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts of Washington and Lee University. Please come forward to receive your degree.
Christopher Carlisle Alexander. Rachel Catherine Alexander, Honors in Politics, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Celeste Lane Altman, magna cum laude. Thomas Campbell Andrews. John N. Apgar IV, cum laude. David Harrison Adell. Winding by, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Julia Ann Berry. Roberts Clark Benton. Lee Samuel Brett, Honors in Politics, cum laude. Steele Austin Burrow. Cameron Nancy Carlock, magna cum laude. Duncan Arthur Caslow. Joanna Suyung Cho. Nicholas Frank Cianciolo. James Harrison Claude. Haynes Meyer Dunn. Alexandra Kathleen Fernandez. Jonathan Eric Gaffney in absentia. Tyler Graham Gears. Ali Jordan Greenberg. Jonathan B. Guest in absentia. Ali Mohammed Hamed, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. William Holton Hatfield. Callie Francis Havens, cum laude. Clark Lassiter Hildebrand, Honors in Politics, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Daniel Morrison Jasper, cum laude. Olivia Noreen Cantwell. Carolyn Brady Kingsbury. Ramsey Catherine DeYoung Kubal. Natasha Mansky Lerner. Matthew Andrew Locke. Not here. James Lawrence Line, III. Stephanie Nicole Malaska, Honors in Politics, magna cum laude. William Parker Mangold. Wade Zachary Christian Marsh, Honors in Religion, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Lauren Alexandra Martin. Kelly Ann McCampbell. Taylor Andrew Melanson, cum laude. Haley Morgan Miller, cum laude. Joseph David Moravec. Sarah Beth Mugamian. Brett Christopher Mueller. Christopher Joseph Nault. Eric David Perkins. Rachel Catherine Patik. Paul Barnum Reynolds, Jr. John Michael Rayburgay. Zachary Charlton Richards. Alex Michael Rosenfeld. Elizabeth O'Hearn Ruff, magna cum laude. Thomas John Sanford, Honors in Politics, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Julia Davis Seeley. Andrea Noel Seffens, cum laude. Emily Nicole Spanier. Russell Kirkland Stewart. Jonathan Vic Stutz. Alfredo Tovo. Suong Hun Trun. Joanna T. Trekova. Marianne Ayers Vardaman, cum laude. Max J. James Werner. Sydney Tyler Voorhees. Thaddeus Otis Walker. Elizabeth Speed Ward. Ann Chandler Watlington. Yori Wong. Randy Renee Wilson. Eric Joshua Wazotsky, cum laude. Margaret Brady Wamble, cum laude. Annie Zhang, cum laude. Congratulations.
My congratulations. Please be seated. I now recognize Marcia France, Associate Dean of the College, who will present the candidates from the college for the degree of Bachelor of Science.
Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science please rise? President Ruscio, I have the honor to present for the degree of Bachelor of Science 83 candidates. They have been examined by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees. I ask you by your official act to confer upon them this degree.
By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Washington and Lee University, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Science of Washington and Lee University. Congratulations, and please come forward to receive your diplomas.
Jeremy Michael Adkins. Muhammad Shaki Amin. Kendall Taylor Anigan. Alicia M. Barger, cum laude. Derek Arthur George Baresis, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Ashley Helen Barnes, cum laude. Dia Eldine J.M. Bisharat, cum laude. Megan Elizabeth Bach, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Elizabeth Reynolds Brassfield, magna cum laude. Shannon Christine Brower. Stephen Rhodes Brown. Catherine Alexis Buckthal, cum laude. Mary Elizabeth Bush, magna cum laude. Victoria Jean Cachabaudo. Max Laitman Chapnick, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Aubrey Caitlin Charnago, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Lee A. Davis III. Luke Thomas Deary. James Castor Vergara de los Reyes. Sasha Stevely Das, cum laude. Melissa Myers Dush, magna cum laude. Wupel Essen, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Elizabeth Rebecca Engel, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. William Carey Erickson. John Alexander Irwin. Keaton Allen Fletcher. Robert Evans Foster. Douglas Wallace Frazier. Hugh Davis Frith. Tyler Wade Gilfillan, Honors in Physics. John Stewart Gragg. Michael Lawrence Grimaldi, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Robert Scottfield Groth, cum laude. Ali Mohammed Hamid, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Matthew Thomas Helton. Gregory Stephen Hill. Maggie Lynn Holland, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Riley Liliana Kidwell, cum laude. Nicholas Lyman Cordenoy. Amanda B. Kratzert. Alexander Paul Lafleur, Honors in Physics. Amanda Kelly Lane. John Benjamin Lencalis, cum laude. Barbara Ann Lewis. Ronald Ray Maggie Jr. Ann Bird Mahoney. Alexander Ritz Mate. Alina K. Marciniak. Thomas H. Massman. George Hunter McMaster II. Rachel Elise Mensch. Dylan James Mills. Spencer Harding Moore, cum laude. Jesse Austin Mozingo. Paul Nguyen. Claire Elizabeth Oliver, cum laude. Tamar Judith Ostrom, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Gina Park, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Leslie McFann Peard, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Rachel Lee Petrie, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Rose A. Petit, Honors in Geology. David Scott Phillips, cum laude. Louisa Elizabeth Phillips, cum laude. Rachel Catherine Pittick. Brittany McLeish Ross. Hannah Juliet Sackfield, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Lauren Elizabeth Schultz, Honors in Geology, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Alexander James Schuyler. Walter Lee Andrew Sewell. Sarah Elizabeth Sorensen. Chao Chi Swen, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Richard Dixon Sykes, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Joseph Mark Tillman. Alexandra Lee Todd. Robert Griffin Vestal, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Wiley Anderson Wasden IV. Michael Wilner. Katie Blair Wilson, cum laude. Robert Collier Wiseman. Jesse R. Yikimoff, cum laude. William Tate Young. Zachary William Zoller.
And my congratulations. Please be seated. I now recognize Suzanne Keene, Thomas H. Broadus Professor of English and Interim Dean of the College, who will present the candidates from the college for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts please rise? President Ruscio, I have the honor to present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts 186 candidates. They have been examined by the faculty and approved by the Board of Trustees. I ask you, by your official act, to confer upon them this degree.
Saving the best for last. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Washington and Lee University, and upon the recommendation of the faculty, I confer upon you the degree of Bachelor of Arts of Washington and Lee University. Congratulations, and please come forward to receive your diplomas.
Catherine Elizabeth Ackle. William Wells Andrews. Margaret Elise Antonson. Joshua Simon Barreño. Kendra S. Barnes, honors in Spanish, magna cum laude. Gregory William Barton, cum laude. John Thomas Benzian. Alicia Owen Bishop, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Catherine Russell Bowe. Wynne Scott Burkle, honors in philosophy, magna cum laude. Slow down. Ashley Tilden Bowditch. Elizabeth Reynolds Brassfield, magna cum laude. Kelton Daniel Buchanan. Elizabeth Coley Buckley. Gina Marie Buffton, cum laude. Kelsey Margaret Bullard. Victoria Neely Birch. Tyler Davis Burchett. John Blacksher Burks, honors in English, cum laude. Krista Elizabeth Camp. Matthew Minogue Carley. Renata Rose Carlson, cum laude. Nicholas James Castains, cum laude. Alexander Ivan Castelli. Abby Nicole Cottle, honors in religion. Parker Patricia Chambers. Max Laitman Chapnick, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Deanna Yannick Clark. Matthew Arthur Coburn. Catherine Morgan Cole. Carrie Nicole Cotter. William Henry Covington. John William Crockett. William Howell Crosby. Alexandra Reed Cummings. Emily Ann Nisi Curry. Amelia Ruth Curry. Zachary Farrell Cylinder. Ainsley Olivia Daigle, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. John Burbank Davies. Stephen Thomas DeYarman, honors in medieval and Renaissance studies. Patrick Haviland D'Ignazio. Caitlin McNabb Dormer. Sasha Stevely Doss, honors in environmental studies, cum laude. Christina Chelstrom Douglas, cum laude. Spencer Kyle Duran. Wu-Paul Asen, honors in philosophy, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Marguerite Park Ellis, cum laude. Gabrielle Elaine Espy, honors in music. Hannah Elizabeth Escada. Estefania Elena Estrada. Elizabeth Engelsman Flanagan, cum laude.
Thank you very much.
Keaton Allen Fletcher. Alexandra Lee Frazier, honors in English, cum laude. John Patrick Gallagher, Jr. Paige E. Gantz, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Anne Burton Gerhardt. Sarah Marie Gorman. Blake McGregor Grady. Brandon Daniel Green. Madeline Sable Greskovich. Sally Hart Griffin. Robert Scottfield Groth, cum laude. Lucian Yates Grove III. Caroline Harris Pike, cum laude. Allison Marie Hagan. Sirocco Fury Hamada. Christine Elise Hansen, cum laude. Sarah Elizabeth Hardman, cum laude. Scott William Harrison. Brendan Connor Hartzell. Anne Marie Haney. Susan Hutter Haysom. Amanda R. Hebert. Cameron Chisholm Higgins. Vera Shigami Higgs. John Hamilton Clayton Holshauser. Morgan Breon Holt, cum laude. Melissa Andre Lillian Hordam, cum laude. Abigail Elizabeth Horn, cum laude. Catherine Victoria Howard, cum laude. Mary Elizabeth Herster. Orrin Henry Ingram III. Tania Innes. Tyson Christopher Janney, cum laude. Jesse David Jenkins. Riley Samuel Jordan. Lee Elizabeth Kendrick. Audrey Ann Kerr, magna cum laude. Riley Liliana Kidwell, honors in philosophy, cum laude. Anthony Wayne Kirby, Jr. Rebecca J. Klenk. Jackson Glenn Knight. Stephanie Liana Krasnoff. Elizabeth Ashton Lamb. Joseph Roger Landry, Honors in History, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Amanda Kelly Lane. Carrie-Ann Elise Laubach, Honors in Biology, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. John Parker Leckerling. Ian Lucas Lenora. Anne Bird Mahoney. Claire Merriweather Mahoney. Carter Madison Malmo. Alexander George Maragos. Catherine Meredith Marsh Soloway. Taylor Michelle Maxey. Julia Maitland McCormick. Kelsey Morgan McCraw. Madison Shea McCune. Cassie Lynn McGinty. Shannon Lee McGovern. Michael Scott McGuire, Honors in Journalism and Mass Communications, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Collier Elizabeth McLeod. Rebecca Brooks Mickle. Colleen Emily Moore. Mary Spencer Morton. Emily Jane Mosh. Daniel Francis Murray IV. Oh, sorry. Hong Zhao Nguyen, Honors in East Asian Languages and Literatures, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Amy Lee Nazalik, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Evelyn Ann Norton, cum laude. Dylan Michael Norval. Michael Rady Novak, Honors in Music. Molly Kathleen Ortiz. Papa Kweku Owusu Agiman Osei. Jillian Tomiko Oyama. Brian Sanford Palmer. Gina Park, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Virgil Graham Parson, cum laude. Allie Joan Peterson. Louisa Elizabeth Phillips, cum laude. Allison Emily Plump, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Noel Nelson Price. Catherine C. Pritchard. Christina Muse Proctor.
Thank you very much.
Hannah Rose Raymer. Michael Hastings Reap II. Nathaniel Wilson Reisinger, Honors in Philosophy, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Bethany Ann Reynolds, Honors in East Asian Languages and Literatures, cum laude. Courtney McNeil Ridenauer, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude. Jennifer Brianne Ritter. Mary Elizabeth Rodriguez, Honors in Theater, magna cum laude. Burl Edward Rolette, cum laude. Eric Robert Rosado. Joan Elizabeth Rosenson. Brian Joseph Ross. Kelly May Ross, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Benjamin Zane Ruffle, Honors in History, magna cum laude. Jonathan Michael Salm. John Philip Sauer. Alexander James Schuyler. Jordan Scott Schwal. Anna Sharova in absentia. Megan Lawrence Shaw. John Sparkman Shepherd. Emily Shue, cum laude. Barbara Gage Smith. Teresa Maria Soli, Honors in Art History, cum laude. Ellen Forsyth Stauffer, cum laude. J. B. Stevens, Jr. Chelsea Ann Stevenson. Lita Amelia Steves. Catherine DeYarman Stewart, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Sarah Jane Stiefvater. Chao Chi Swen, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Joseph Moss Sussingham. Carolyn Ida Sutherland. Marissa Renee Thompson. Catherine Gaillard Trigg. Angela Mary Tumino. Sage Rachel Lynn Urban, magna cum laude. Alexander Vladimir Vandalov, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Mary Jennings Van Sant, cum laude. Nora Sylvia Wellenius in absentia, magna cum laude. Rachel Hanley Warwick. Isaac Daniel Webb, honors in history, magna cum laude. Catherine Frances Webb. Margaret Moulton Weigel, cum laude. Kayla Aletha Welch, honors in Spanish, Phi Beta Kappa, summa cum laude. Michael Francis Welch. Elizabeth Randolph Welford. Grace Sevier Williams. Francesca May Elizabeth Wilson, cum laude. Joshua Andre Zaks. Emily Lauren Zankman, honors in philosophy, magna cum laude. Catherine Louise Zazera. Catherine Ann Zweier, cum laude. Congratulations.
Please be seated. And my congratulations to all the students. No longer students, I guess. It is now my duty to bring us to our conclusion. To our graduates, let me note the obvious. In just a few short moments, your student days will indeed be relegated to that portion of your mind reserved for memories. The letter you received from the admissions office, freshman check-in day, now known as first-year check-in day. The early morning walks across the footbridge from the sorority houses to class, the final football, lacrosse, or volleyball game of your career as a general, your senior recital, Goshen Pass, fancy dress, mock convention. The staff member who cared about you during a rough patch, the faculty member who discovered within you an aptitude for art, science, or philosophy, and nurtured it into a passion. The friends you made who will be part of your lives forever, who will celebrate with you in the years to come, marriages, the birth of your children, and your many accomplishments. This afternoon, with your departure, the university in your eyes will begin its inexorable decline away from perfection. Yes, when the history of the university is finally written, it will be recorded that we peaked on May 23rd, 2013. I will surely hear from you in the years to come asking what in the world is going on, but just as surely you will reconcile in your own minds the logic-defying truth that is Washington and Lee. It was perfect, or nearly so, when you were here, even as it gets better with each passing day, each passing year, and each new generation of students. Pause for one final second and contemplate the setting in which you find yourselves right now, one of the most beautiful in all of higher education. Behind you is Washington Hall, named after one of the most consequential figures in our history. In front of you is Lee Chapel, where Lee is buried, a man who shaped in so many ways the education you have experienced these last 4 years. Consider the legacy that has been handed down from Washington to Lee to you here today manifested in such perfect architectural alignment. Forever, you will be known as a graduate of this university, and you should carry that distinction not only with pride, but with responsibility and a sense of honor. Come back frequently and know that while the geographic relationship between you and the university will indeed change, the bonds of friendship with the people you have come to know will endure and grow even stronger. Think of us often, just as we will think of you. We wish you well, Godspeed, and good luck. The 2013 commencement proceedings are now adjourned. Congratulations.